Burgess here with Music Marketing TV, and today we're going to be looking at using the keyboard feature as opposed to just straight up hertz values when we're doing our equalization, which can fit a lot better with the key of the song that we're working in. Let's take a look. So here we've got the keys along the bottom, and you could toggle this on and off with the little keyboard icon, and you can also zoom. So if you want to go to hertz for a second, you can, and then come back. But you have these markers here that also help you out with the hertz values. So I actually usually work in the key display, and the reason for this is if I'm working in a key, it often makes a lot more sense to be working like this. So I've got a beat here. If we come in and play this for you. And if we look at what the bass is playing, it's playing mostly E's. E's the name of the game here. I want to clear up spots for the E. So there's a couple ways we could do this. And one way to do it is we could come into the drums and we could say, okay, well, here's the drums. We could find an E, the nearest E to what seems to be where the kick is at. So the kick's sitting right around here. And we might ask ourselves, let's find the E and let's just pull down right there, maybe bring it down a smidge, and just give it a little bit of a dip. And you might even reinforce other parts while leaving the dip here. You might make it a lot sharper, and the whole idea is, okay, this E is going to be out of the way, leaving room for the bass, and this is something that's just so much easier to do. And you can even see where the nodes are placed and the primary note that they're going to be affecting. So in fact, even when you're doing boosts, you could find areas in the spectrum that go along with the key that might make more sense to boost. Like for example, maybe you pick a fifth up from E, which would be B. And so we could come down to a B and put a boost right here. And it's just a little bit more functional with the key of the track. We might come up here to a higher E and go ahead and just create a series of smaller nodes that just sort of say, hey, drums, back off on the E's and leave a little bit more room for other stuff. So if we took this to extremes, like just really cut it out. So you could come into the bass as well and perhaps go to that E and give it a small boost. You could give maybe not the fundamental E, maybe you go to another area and give it a boost. But you want to make decisions that make sense. So when you give boost, you don't want the most narrow boost. Boosts typically sound a lot better when you've got a wider area. But the main area of the boost will be right there. So you can give it a little more oomph right there. You might, instead of doing that here, you might try adding a series of boosts a little bit above on those E's. And I'm looking down here to see where I'm at, by the way. When you're hovering over it, it shows you what note you're over. And so I could go like that. I could try cutting things out, and you could really EQ specifically to the scale of your song. So there's really two approaches here. The first one is sort of you're listening to the sound on a hertz level, and this makes you focus more on the characteristics of the sound. And that's just how it goes. If you happen to cut where an E is, then that's great. And the other option is to use the scale of the song, and you're specifically targeting things from more of a theoretical point of view. So I definitely would still listen, use your ears. Maybe you decide to move the cut later because maybe they reinforce each other in a way you really like. Maybe that kick drum really actually could use this E right here, and instead the right move would be to leave this E sort of where it's at and to cut around it. I don't think this is really going to be the move with a kick drum, but for some other sounds, this may be the way to go about it. So you could try doing some of this sort of complement movement, but there's your two ways. So you could think of it from the key. I like to use this as a starting point. Say, hey, I know that this is going to be the area where some fighting is going to occur because of the way I have written the music. And then I go in with my ears and then, listen and say, is this really the move I want to do? Do some experiments and move forward like that. That's the general approach I would recommend. If you have any questions about this, feel free to let me know. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos, and have a blessed day.